Versus Team Coast. I'd like to welcome CLG's DoubleLift to the desk. DoubleLift, welcome to the desk. That game went quite well for you guys, a little bit shorter than the previous matchup, and you didn't bring Urgot to the table, but you guys did bring in Aurelia for Nien. Has that been a recent, strategy in scrims, or where's Nien fall into place with Aurelia?
Oh yeah, really recent. I think the day before yesterday, which was our last day of practice before LCS had started this week, he's like, I want to play Aurelia. And we're like, okay, like if you want to do it. And he's like, I'm playing in solo queue, just trust me. We scrimmed like 2 games with it, and he seems pretty comfortable, so we let him do it.
And even in the picks and bans there, you hovered over Tristana just for a little bit, and then you're like, nah, I'm going Ezreal right here. Was that a consideration, Tristana? Because the Ezreal seemed to work so well in that game. Yeah,
like, I don't know. I guess it doesn't logically make any sense to me because Tristana is like, to me, one of my most comfortable champions, and she's like a little OP on the scale of 80 carries just because of the way I play. I just like to get farmed. And my whole team was like, yeah, pick Tristana. Like, she's the best pick here, but you can pick whatever you want, like, because the person ultimately has a choice in their champion. And I was like, for some reason, I just felt like Ezreal was going to do really well against TSM, so I just picked it.
What is your objective coming into Champion Select against Team Solo Mid? It looked like you guys kind of shut down Reggie on this one. Is that always the focus versus TSM?
Well, we decided that we don't really care much about Reggie's TF. He's not really experienced with it, and we thought we could deal with it because, like, unless you're like a godlike TF, he doesn't have as much map control as like a really good one like Link. And I mean, when he first picked TF, their strongest player has first picked their champion. You can just counter with whatever you want and build your team comp to like kind of counter their mid lane.
Yeah, and Link has been performing spectacularly lately. How is that changing the dynamic of your team, or is it? Because it used to be like everybody protect DoubleLift, but it seems lately that both Nien and Link are having a slightly more damaging role. Do you feel that within the team, or is it still just you carrying everything?
Oh yeah, big time. Like, I love that Link and Nien end up being big threats and they make plays by themselves, like on the enemy's backline. Like, they'll just randomly kill Turtle and be like, I got Turtle. That's what I'm hearing. I'm like, wow, really? Like, that's the first, And it's just really good to have all that pressure relieved off me. This just means that I'm more like diverse in the ways that I can play and the champions that I can play, and yeah, I just really like it. It makes me perform better.
So then coming into the season as well, you guys said it would take a while to ramp up before you started to get better. How close now is CLG to reaching their potential?
Oh, I think we suck big time right now. Like, even though we won against TSM, it's like, like being 3-0 against TSM is like really good, but our records against other teams are not so good. And I think our biggest problem is definitely communication, because we're not very clear on what we want to do, and like you can tell by our game against Cursed when like randomly they just like killed our Nexus, like, oh yeah, we should town, like, do you want to town, like, and then they just killed our Nexus. Like, we don't have very split-second good decision making because we just don't have one cohesive shot caller.
And how do you guys relate to that if you guys ever go on tilt? We've been talking a lot of morale with Cloud9 and how they keep things up. Do you guys fuel that at all within the team?
Yeah, I think when morale gets down, our 2 shot callers, GG and Chauster, get kind of flustered, and the rest of us are just like, always just kind of suggesting us, like, oh, we can do this, but like, I don't know 100%. And so we end up doing nothing. And a lot of the times when CLG is losing, I think you'll see us just like kind of hole up in our base and do nothing and just like farm jungle minions. I think we should just work on that. Like, I think morale is really important for like getting the attitude to like make plays and come back. Yeah, and even after this game, you're happy, and you were able to laugh off the curse loss, which just happened a few hours ago. How are you guys directly after the curse loss, and how has your communication maybe changed from the old CLG? We had a really serious discussion for like, I think like 30 minutes after the curse game, where we were just talking about, how do we end up throwing this game? That was disgusting. And we didn't point fingers or anything. We were just like, oh, our communication sucks. Like, let's work on it. It's really weird because normally on CLG you think a lot of arguing and like personal grudges and stuff, where people are just like pissed off at each other. But after our curse loss, we were pretty much like, yeah, this sucks, but we'll get better.
The recent changes, obviously, see you moving to not more of a utility role, but those champions playing as the Urgot recently. Is this a change that CLG is kind of using to figure out how they can adapt and where you can find that, where CLG wants to be now?
In terms of AD picks, like, I always wanted to be the kind of player to play everything. And like, I always pull out like random stuff like Sivir and Urgot way back in the day, and I want to do that again because I think AD players, especially in North American LCS, like, they're not very diverse. Like, they play like 2 or 3 champions, and that's pretty disgusting because you should be able to play everything within your role. I want to be the person to just like randomly bring out Urgot or randomly bring out like a champion nobody else plays and surprise them.
Well, right on. Well, congratulations on what you guys have achieved so far. Definitely building up the team, and I think the fans can see it as well. Congrats on the win. All right, everyone, it's time for our 5th match of the day, Vulcan versus Team Coast.